Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to see if duplicates exist in an array using JavaScript. So you might be wondering why I'm doing such a trivial tutorial in comparison to all the other ones that I've done. This, like the Fibonacci sequence tutorial I did, is to help better prepare people for programming interviews. So it doesn't matter if you're going for an entry-level position or a senior-level position. These are good things that you have to know because there's a good chance that it'll be asked in the phone screening, your technical interview, your on-site. You just want to be prepared, and no matter how easy it might seem, when you're doing an interview, you are nervous, and you want to make sure that you have the best possible chance for success. So to start things off, let's go ahead and create a new web project. I've already created a directory on my desktop, so let's go ahead and open it using our text editor. And in it, we're going to go ahead and create two files. We're going to create an index.html file, and we're going to go ahead and create an app.js file. So let's go ahead and start by making our base template for the index.html file. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and include the app.js file. So all of our functions are going to go into the app.js file, but all of our runtime script is going to be inside of the HTML file. Alright, with that done, we've gone ahead and saved it. So let's go ahead and start by creating a JavaScript class. We're going to call this one array dupes. You can call it whatever you want, but figure I'd keep it simple. So in this particular tutorial, I'm going to show you two different ways to accomplish this task in finding duplicates within an array. One of which is not so good when it comes to time complexity, but I'll explain it as we go along. So let's go ahead and start with the first method. So we're going to call it this method 1 equals function, and we're going to go ahead and pass in an array value. And to start things off, so this first method, we're going to go ahead and use nested loops to accomplish discovering duplicates in the array. So what we want to do is we want to start with an exterior for loop. I equals 0, I less than or equal to a dot length, and then I plus plus. So the first loop is going to go ahead and start from the beginning, and it's going to iterate through each index in the array. So we're also going to create a second loop, a nested loop. I'm going to say var j equals I. So we're going to start it at whatever index the outer loop is in. So that way we don't. So that way we use our time efficiently, basically, or as efficiently as we can. We're going to loop j less than or equal to a dot length, and we're going to increase j by 1 every time. So now it comes down to discovering if we've hit a duplicate. So we want to do if. The first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that I is not equal to j. On the first iteration of our loop, I will equal j because j is going to be whatever I is in the looping order. So we want to make sure that that first one isn't considered because it'll always match on the first one. And then we also want to see if the array at index I is equal to the array at index j. And if it is, we can go ahead and return true, because at that point we've determined that I is not equal to j, and both of our array values match. That means there is more than one in this list. And then if it manages to make it outside of both loops without hitting that condition, we want to return false because no duplicates were found. So if we go ahead and we go back into our index.html file, we want to do the following. We want to say var AD, I'm going to call it AD for array dupes, equals new array dupes. And then we're going to say console.log, and we're going to say ad.method1, and we're going to go ahead and pass in an array of integers. You can pass in an array of whatever you want, but I'm going to use integers for this case. So I'm going to first start it off with an array that there are no duplicates, just to demo it. So let's go ahead and open up the index.html file in our browser. I'm going to use Safari in my case. I'm going to open up the console and look at the message here. We can see that it returned false because there were no duplicates. Well, let's say I wanted to go ahead and add another 2 in there and save it. We can see that it returned true, and it didn't clear the first time because that's the way Safari works. But we can see that it returned true. So going back into our code, there's a problem with this. Even though it works, it doesn't work efficiently. Because we have 2 nested loops, the time complexity is what's known as big O notation n squared, or n2, because each of these loops can be executed n times, making it very inefficient. So that's where we're going to come up with our next method, which is it's a different approach, but it's a more efficient approach, and it should get you some good amount of credit on your interview. So we're going to say this method2 equals function a. So the whole concept behind this one is we're going to be using an associative array to keep track of the total number of appearances that a particular value appears in the array. So if you're using Java instead of JavaScript, the same thing would be accomplished using a Hashmap or some kind of set value. There's different names for it, maybe a collection. I most commonly know it as a Hashmap or an associative array. So let's go ahead and create that value. We're going to say counts equal empty array. It has nothing in it to start. So the first thing that we want to do after that is we want to create a loop to go through all of our array indexes again. So we're going to say variable I equals 0, I less than or equal to a.length, then I plus plus. So instead of doing another nested loop this time around, we are going to do a comparison. So we're going to say if counts, and then we're going to go ahead and pass in a and then I. So what that means is we have our associative array, and each index of our associative array is the value of our past array. Not the index of our past array, but the value at the particular index I of our array. So we're going to say if that is not equal to undefined, or if it is equal to undefined, I'm sorry. If it is equal to undefined, that means it is the first time that we are seeing this particular value. And because it's the first time, we want to go ahead and say count a I equals to 1. Or you can set it to whatever you want, really. We're just saying that we found it for our first time, and it is no longer undefined. It is defined now. And you can say that however you want to. If it is not undefined, meaning that we've seen it before, we're going to say else, and we're going to say return true. Because we've seen it before and we've accomplished our task of saying that there is a duplicate in that method. Because of the scope of the question, we don't care what's duplicated or how many items are duplicated. We just care that there is a duplicate. And again, if you've managed to make it outside of this loop without meeting our condition of return true, then we're going to say return false. Let's go ahead and take a look at that in our code here. I'm going to go ahead and keep it simple here. I'm going to copy and paste this line. We're going to say method 2. And then for this first one, we're going to say method 1. And again, to start, I'm going to say that there are no duplicates in this array, just a demo. Let me clear this. We're going to refresh it. And again, there are duplicates in the method 1, but there are no duplicates in the method 2. So let's go ahead and maybe add some duplicates. Doesn't really matter. We're going to clear our logs. We're going to refresh, and we can see that there are duplicates found. It returned true this time. So because we don't have nested loops, our time complexity is big O n. So the maximum amount of time it's going to take is however many values exist in the array, which can be summed up as n. Now, there are probably plenty of other ways to accomplish this task, and I encourage you to post it in the comments of this video, and maybe even share your experiences with this as an interview question. It would definitely help a lot of people who are going through this process, and I guarantee you at some point in time you will experience this question if you're looking for a new programming job.